Civil war is waged by women.
At a Tupperware home party.
Wait, you want me to tell you what my husband thinks? My husband is not the Secretary of State, I am.
A man does something, it's strategic. A woman does the same thing, it's calculated.
So it's not.
Hello everyone, welcome to this deep exploration of an incredibly profound topic that we've been witnessing right before our eyes. Today, we will be discussing the changing role of women in Western societies and how different movements have impacted said changes. This video will be divided into chapters. Specifically, each chapter will be describing a certain era or a certain change that has happened in order to affect the change of women or the role of women in Western societies. The first chapter will be about the suffragettes, the second about World War II and how women have started joining the workforce after men left the workforce in order to join the war. Chapter 3 will be about Tupperware parties, which were incredibly empowering to women in the 50s. Chapter 4 will be about Yuppies, which is a group of people that have emerged during the 80s, that were urban, they were new, they were liberal. And lastly, the last chapter, which will be discussing the girl boss. First and foremost, one of the most significant feminist campaigns ever done, the suffragettes. They were a part of the Votes for Women campaign that has fought greatly and immensely for women's right to vote in the United Kingdom. Before the suffragette movement, women had not encompassed any role in British society other than being a daughter, mother, or a wife. The suffragettes weren't peaceful. They were fed up, they were full of rage, and they fought for the role they gained in society. They used art, debate, attacks on public properties, arson, and all sorts of violence if that's what it took for them to get to their basic human rights. The suffragettes were founded by Emmeline Pankhurst alongside her daughters Christabel Sylvia and Adela Pankhurst. They had started the movement by creating a group of just women in Manchester, which have founded together the Women's Social and Political Union, WSPU, in 1903. They had big ambitions for women. They wanted to change the role in society. Their aim was to wake up the nation to women's suffrage through deeds and not words. That was how the movement began. They relocated their headquarters to London in 1906. This had a huge impact on the suffragette movement. For the following 8 years, the suffragettes' fight became public. The office staff at the WSPU had organized multiple fundraising events, demonstrations, and produced the weekly newspaper. This newspaper was titled Votes for Women and had circulation of 22,000 by 1909. They had 90 different branches scattered across the United Kingdom, but London had remained the chief area. The suffragettes had moved their headquarters to London so that they could easily protest where the government is. Their presence in the Whitehall was constant, chaining themselves to government buildings. The departure of men to fight in World War II marked a pivotal moment in Western history, particularly concerning the transformation of women's role in society. This period saw a dramatic reconfiguration of the workforce as women stepped into roles traditionally held by men, leading to profound and lasting societal changes. Before the war, women's roles were largely confined by domestic spheres, which limited access to higher education and professional careers. The cultural norm of the time dictated that women should focus on homemaking and child-rearing. However, the war created an unprecedented demand for labor. As millions of men were called to the front lines, this labor shortage opened the door for women to enter the workforce in significant numbers. Women took up a variety of roles, from working in factories producing munitions and war supplies for serving the auxiliary military roles. The iconic figure of Rosie the Riveter became a symbol of female empowerment, representing women's ability to perform physically demanding work traditionally done by men. This period was not only about women filling in for men, but also about the demonstrating competence, resilience, and capacity for skilled labor. The impact of this shift profound economically. It challenged the notion that women were less capable or less valuable as workers. Socially, it began to dismantle rigid gender roles, showing that women could balance work and family and were just as capable as men in many professions. Politically, it laid the groundwork for the women's rights movement, as women who had tasted independence and self-sufficiency were less willing to relinquish these freedoms post-war. In the post-war era, While many women did return to traditional roles, the landscape had irrevocably changed. The experience of working and contributing to the war effort fundamentally altered women's self-perception and societal expectations. It paved the way for future advancements in women's rights, including the feminist movements of the 1960s and 70s, which sought equal rights in all aspects of life. In conclusion, the mobilization of women in the workforce during World War II was a catalyst for a change in Western societies. It not only filled a temporary labor gap, but it also initiated a profound and lasting transformation in the role of women, setting the stage for ongoing struggle for gender equality. In the 1950s, Tupperware parties became a cultural phenomenon that had subtle yet significant impacts on feminism and women's empowerment. Tupperware, a brand of airtight plastic containers, was introduced by Earl Tupper in the late 1940s. Brownie Wise, a charismatic and innovative saleswoman, transformed the marketing of Tupperware by popularizing the idea of Tupperware parties. Tupperware parties were social gatherings hosted by women in their homes, where families and neighbors could come together to explore the purchased Tupperware products. These events provided women with an opportunity to step outside traditional gender roles, engage in entrepreneurship, and exercise economic agency. In the post-World War II era, making by return of men to the workforce, Tupperware parties offered women a chance to contribute to household income while maintaining domestic responsibilities. The Tupperware party model empowered women to become independent sales consultants, enabling them to build their business and earn commissions. This financial autonomy gave women a sense of accomplishment that challenged societal expectations that confined them to the domestic sphere. Tupperware parties not only provided a platform for economic empowerment, but also fostered a sense of community and camaraderie amongst women. These gatherings became spaces where women could share experiences, discuss topics beyond homemaking, and form social networks. Additionally, Tupperware parties encouraged women to develop essential business and leadership skills. Hosting a successful party required organizational abilities, effective communication, and marketing acumen. Many women found themselves excelling in these areas, challenging the prevailing notion that their skills were limited to household chores. While Tupperware parties may seem like a mundane aspect of the 1950s, consumer culture that they played a pivotal role in shaping the trajectory of women's empowerment. By providing an avenue for economic independence, fostering community, and cultivating valuable skills, Tupperware parties contributed to the gradual dismantling of traditional gender roles and paved the way for the feminist movement that would emerge in the decades to come. Young urban professionals in the 1980s had a multifaceted impact on feminism and women's empowerment. UPs characterized by the affluent, career-driven lifestyle represented a shift in societal values towards material success and professional achievement. This shift had significant implications for women, particularly in terms of career opportunities and the redefinition of gender roles. For women, the UP era marked a period of increased participation in the workforce, especially in professional and managerial roles. The UP ethos celebrated career success and financial independence, values that resonated with the feminist movement's goals of gender equality. Women UPs were often seen as embodying the feminist ideal of the independent, successful professional. They challenged traditional gender stereotypes by assuming roles that were historically dominated by men, and demonstrated that women could achieve the same levels of professional and financial success. However, the UP movement also exposed some of the complexities and contradictions with feminism. The archetype of the successful UP woman was typically white, middle class, and highly educated, highlighting issues with intersectionality within the feminist movement. This raised questions about the inclusivity of feminism and whether it adequately represented and addressed the challenges faced by women in different racial, socioeconomic, and educational backgrounds. Furthermore, the UP culture's emphasis on material success and individualism sometimes clashed with the collective goals of feminism. The pursuit of personal success often came at the expense of broader societal changes and solidarity with other women. This individualistic approach raised concern about the depth of commitment to feminist principles amongst UP women. In conclusion, the rise of UPs had significant impacts on feminism and women's empowerment. It opened doors for women in the professional world and challenged traditional gender roles. However, it also highlighted the need for a more inclusive and intersectional approach within the feminist movement. The UP era underscored the complexity of balancing personal ambition with collective action in the pursuit of gender equality. The term #girlboss, popularized by Sophia Amoruso's 2014 memoir, has become a cultural emblem of contemporary feminism and women's empowerment. The hashtag encapsulates the idea of women achieving success in traditionally male-dominated fields, particularly in entrepreneurship and corporate leadership. However, its impacts on feminism and women's empowerment is layered, eliciting both positive advancements and critical discussions. On the positive side, #girlboss has been instrumental in celebrating and normalizing female success in the business world. It has providing a rallying cry for women to aspire for leadership roles, challenging the status quo and redefine success in their terms. The movement has spurred a surge of female entrepreneurship, with more women feeling empowered to start their businesses and take on executive roles. It has also brought attention to the gender disparities in the workplace, highlighting issues like the wage gap, glass ceiling, and lack of female representation in boardrooms. By doing so, #girlboss has inspired conversations and actions geared towards achieving gender equality in professional spaces. Furthermore, the #girlboss movement has created a community where women support, mentor, and uplift each other. This solidarity has been crucial in fostering environments where women's achievements are celebrated and their challenges are acknowledged and addressed. However, the #girlboss narrative has also faced criticism for its potential oversimplification of feminism, for sometimes aligning closely with the capitalist ideals that do not necessarily address systematic gender inequalities. Critics argue that it often focuses on individual success rather than collective action, potentially overlooking broader structural issues that impede gender inequality. There is also a concern that the girlboss ethos might perpetuate a one-dimensional view of success, centered around career achievements and financial gain, which might not be inclusive or attainable for all women. In conclusion, #girlboss has significantly impacted feminism and women's empowerment, encapsulating the strides made by women in the business world and beyond. It has been a powerful tool for inspiring and mobilizing women through it. Also opens critical discussions about the nature of feminist movement and the diverse experiences of women in the pursuit of equality and empowerment, such as the #girlboss movement represents both a celebratory milestone and evolving conversation on the ongoing journey towards gender equality. Thank you all for watching and sharing this experience with me. Empowered and evolving, women continue to reshape the narrative of Western societies. We have discussed that in the video, with multiple chapters highlighting different eras and different events of how women's role has changed in Western societies.